Hey, how are you? My name is Jeremy. I'm going to be reading from the Essentials of Strength Training and Conditioning. This will be page 125. This will be respiratory responses. Aerobic exercise provides for the greatest impact on both oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide production as compared to other types of exercise. Significant increases in oxygen delivered to the tissues, carbon dioxide returned to the lungs, and minute ventilation, the volume of air breathed per minute, provide for appropriate levels of alveolar gas concentrations during aerobic exercise. With aerobic exercise, increased minute ventilation occurs as a result of increases in the depth of breathing, the frequency of breathing, or both. During strenuous exercise, the breathing frequency of healthy young adults usually increases from 12 to 15 breaths per minute at rest to 35 to 45 breaths per minute, while tidal volume, the amount of air inhaled and exhaled with each breath, increases from resting values of 0.4 to 1 liter to as much as 3 liters or greater. Consequently, the minute ventilation can increase from 15 to 25 times the resting value, or to values of 90 to 150 liters of air per minute. During low to moderate intensity aerobic exercise, there is an increase in ventilation directly associated with both increased oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide production. In this instance, the increase in ventilation is primarily due to increased tidal volume. The ratio of minute ventilation to oxygen uptake is termed the ventilatory equivalent and ranges between 20 to 25 liters of air per liter of oxygen consumed. In more intense exercise, generally above 45 to 65% of maximal oxygen uptake in untrained individuals and 70 to 90 in trained individuals, breathing frequency takes on a greater role. At these levels, minute ventilation rises disproportionately to the increases in oxygen uptake and begins to parallel the abrupt rise in blood lactate. At this point, the ventilatory equivalent may increase to 35 or 40 liters of air per liter of oxygen consumed with this high intensity exercise. With inspiration, air enters the alveoli, the functional unit of the pulmonary system where gas exchange occurs. However, with inspiration, air also occupies areas of the respiratory passages, the nose, the mouth, the trachea, the bronchi, and the bronchioles. This area is not useful for gas exchange and is called the anatomical dead space. The normal volume of this airspace is approximately 150 milliliters in young adults and increases with age. Both the respiratory passages stretch with deep breathing. The anatomical dead spaces increase as tidal volume increases. Nevertheless, the increase in tidal volume with deep breathing is proportionally greater than any increase in anatomical dead space. Thus, increasing tidal volume, deeper breathing, provides for more efficient ventilation than increasing frequency of breathing alone. Physiological dead space refers to alveoli in which poor blood flow, poor ventilation, or other problems with the alveolar surface impair gas exchange. The physiological dead space in the lungs of healthy people is usually negligible because all or nearly all alveoli are functional. Certain types of lung diseases such as chronic obstructive lung disease or pneumonia can significantly reduce alveolar function, increasing physiological dead space by as much as 10 times the volume of anatomical dead space. That's a lot. During aerobic exercise, large amounts of oxygen diffuse from the capillaries into the tissues. Increased levels of carbon dioxide move from the blood into the alveoli, and minute ventilation increases to maintain appropriate alveoli concentrations of these gases. Gas responses. Diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide across the cell membrane and is a function of the concentration of each gas and the resulting partial pressure exerted by the molecular motion of each gas. Diffusion results from the movement of the gas from high concentration to low concentration at the tissue level, where oxygen is utilized in metabolism and carbon dioxide is produced. The partial pressures of these gases in some instances differ considerably from those in arterial blood. At rest, the partial pressure of oxygen in the fluid immediately outside a muscle cell rapidly drops from 100 millimoles of mercury in arterial blood to as low as 40, while the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is elevated above that of arterial blood to about 46 millimoles of mercury. During high-intensity aerobic exercise, the partial pressure of these gases are approximately 3 for oxygen and 90 for carbon dioxide. Consequently, these pressure gradients cause the movement of gases across cell membranes. In addition, the diffusing capacities of oxygen, and in particular carbon dioxide, increase dramatically with exercise, which facilitates their exchange. Cool. We'll leave it there. Page 125, respiratory responses, to page 126, gas responses, diffusion. See ya.